In this video, we're going to be going over bid rules in more detail. I'm going to cover kind of the most common actions to give you a better idea on kind of how the calculations are working. So this starter rule profile, this is what will be set when you first load the tool. You can obviously change any of these parameters in yellow, and the inputs here in these columns, they all kind of change how the formulas or actions work. So for example, this first rule number 1, we've got it set to run on all of our ads. So that includes sponsor products, brands, display. If you click on this match type here, you can actually toggle that off and then check the ones that you want to just apply the rule to. So it really is a way to segment out all your rules. And you can have different rules for, obviously different segments. And that's kind of through that. And there's also an override feature here where you can choose a group of portfolios, a group of campaigns, group of ad groups, targets, and ASINs. The ASIN one will only work if you have single ASIN structured campaigns. But basically you just choose the override type, and then if you click in the cell here, it'll give you some instructions. You just basically put the list of portfolio names, hit save, and then that rule there is only going to be ran on that group of portfolios. So again, this allows you to really layer out a bunch of different rules for different segments of your account. What I like to do is when you start getting more advanced with segmenting, you can come in here and set up a group. So just click on that and call this whatever, portfolio 1, apply. All right, so now it has labeled all of these under portfolio 1, and if I want to duplicate this, I can just go like that. Now I've got a whole nother copy of my rules that I can go through and just change the group of portfolios, and that'll allow me to have rules for portfolio 1 and portfolio 2. You'd obviously want to rename this, but hopefully that kind of makes sense. Let me run these just to see which rules are actually getting triggered. We'll be able to see that over here in the results. Okay, so we don't have a pause rule that meets this criteria. Typically it's because of this old bid has to be 15 cents. So the old bid is this black column here. So that one is only going to run when this is set at 15 cents. There's 0 orders and there's greater than $20 spent. So this data set does not have that scenario, but it does have this next one. So this next one is just a very simple set the bid to a low number, in this case 15 cents. And if you don't have a parameter plugged in that should be plugged in, it's going to give you like an error there and give you some insight on what needs fixed, but it should be pretty intuitive once you start to mess around with this and kind of look at the starter rules here as a general guide. If you do have any questions or get stuck, just click the chat down here and ask us and we can help you out. So this one, greater than 2,500 impressions, 0.28% click-through rate, and 0 orders. So you can see there's 44 targets. If we come up here, look at rule number 2, you'll see that all of these targets meet that criteria. So over 2,500 impressions, less than 0.28% click-through rate, and 0 orders. So that's why all of these have been adjusted from their original bid down to 15 cents. So that's just one rule type, but all of these kind of follow that same type of logic. So this one's the same type, this one's the same type. The only difference is the yellow parameters here. Another point is that these rules are going to run from top to bottom. So that's why when you number them, it's important to kind of think through the logic. And if you want like your pause rule to be more higher precedent, put it above it, and then you can use these drag buttons here if you want to move things around. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. All right, so some users don't like to use the set bid to action. They like to use the modify bid. All right, and then when it's got a curly bracket, it's talking about a parameter on this dashboard. So set bid to curly bracket bid means that this bid column needs to be filled in. Same with this modify bid. The curly bracket's got the bid in there, so it's this. There's also a version of the modify bid based on the CPC. That value would go there if you want to use that rule. And then the adjustment for those rules differs by to modify off of the original bid or the CPC over here, which is the spend divided by clicks, basically, of what you've been getting charged. All right, so this next one is don't change anything with greater than 200 impressions with 0 orders. Now let's look at rule number 5. I think I already had it. Yeah, I have that selected. So we've got greater than 200 impressions right here, 0 orders. no change. You can see it gives you the rule number here as well as the delta is the difference between the old bid and the new bid. But you can see basically all of these just keeps the bid the same. That means you're getting impressions. You're fine with that. Hopefully it'll convert soon. This next rule number 6, is to incrementally increase the bids. So it's less than 200, 0 orders, 5 cents at a time adjustment. And the curly bracket bid means you need the 5 cents or the value in this column. You can see you can either do a fixed number or you can also do a percentage. If you want to do a percentage, just put like 5 and then the percent sign. Same with CPC, any of these that have that in the column header, you can do that. All right, so if I look at rule number 6 now, you'll see modify bid, 5 cents at a time, and you can see it just increments it up. All right. One other point, if you have paused targets, you see all of these are enabled and they're in enabled campaigns and enabled ad groups. If anything's paused, it's just going to set it to the old bid. We don't actually make changes on anything that's paused. So now we're talking about in the starter profile, all of the converting target rules. So you can see the main change here in the yellow is greater than 2 orders, greater than 2 orders, greater than 0 orders, greater than 0. So all of these are kind of converting target rules. They cascade the target ACoS down as you get kind of poorer performing thresholds. There are also some conversion rate thresholds over here. So again, this may not be set up great for your niche. You will have to kind of dive into your audit details, see what your average CPCs, average conversion rates are, but it's a good starting point, and you can always add more and kind of tailor it best to your strategy. This one is a very common rule. It's revenue per click times target ACoS. It's not actually the best rule if all you care about is performance. A better one is going to be these two, but they're both ratio based. This one just does not have your current ACoS in the formula, so it won't always, if you've got a poor ACoS, decrease your bids and vice versa, where these will. The revenue per click is used in most kind of SaaS PPC tools on the market. So that's kind of what we've got here in the starter profile, but again, it's not necessarily the one you have to use. The main thing is just you understand how it works. So it's anytime you see a parameter in the action that is not in curly brackets, that means it's looking at the actual keyword level performance metrics. So revenue per click, that means revenue is sales. So it's taking the sales divided by the clicks here times your target ACoS, which is in this blue column here. All right, and then these other inputs are nice. And you can apply these on any rules, but it's basically a minimum value that you never go under, a maximum kind of ceiling that you never go above on your bids. And then these here are really important to understand. They're basically throttles of the rate of change that the system's going to adjust your bids by. So you don't want to have a lot of bid swings where it's adjusting it by like $1 every time you run this through the SkuHero. You want it to kind of do it gradually and more systematic. So this is basically saying it's only going to adjust down, decrease by 5% at a time based on your original bid. So this black column. So let's look at rule number 7, and you'll see that all of these have more than 15% conversion rate, more than 2 orders or greater or equal to 2 orders. And then this top one even has a click-through rate threshold greater than 1%. Click-through rate. And before I forget, one really slick feature, rule metrics, if you run this, it's going to give you a breakdown of the actual aggregated performance of all of the rules that are getting triggered. So it's basically accumulating for this one here, the 55 sponsored products targets plus the brands plus the, no, there's no display there. And it's giving you the kind of performance breakdown. So it allows you to, at a glance, to kind of see where your biggest percent of spend is going, and you may want to tweak your inputs based on some of that data. So I didn't want to fail to mention that. But anyway, let's run through a calculation here, and then we should be good. So this one is revenue per click, and it's basically dividing. So I'm just going to, let me find one that's probably getting cut off. Let's do this top one. All right, so I'm going to divide. I just have my calculator out here. Sales of 112.47 divided by clicks 7 times. Then I come back here 0.5. That gives me $8. So it literally wants to go to $8. Is that right? Let me do that again. Yeah, that's right. So it's probably just based on my dummy data. The idea is it's not going to adjust it to $8 because I have these parameters set, and I've only got it to where if it wants to increase, it's only going to go by 10%. So 10% off 41 is 0.41 times 1.1, and you get 0.45. So if I remove, let me remove this, and we'll rerun it. Let's watch this value right here. All right, now it goes to 350 because I've got this limit set. So I'm going to remove that. Let's rerun it. All right, now I'm at $8. So hopefully that kind of illustration makes a bit of sense. It's not, $8 is your data is not going to want to go that high. This is just because I plugged in a bunch of dummy numbers and it's not accurate. But anyway, that's how this works. Don't be afraid to rerun these rules in sequence. You can run them back to back to back. It's not going to make any like cascading changes. There's a few different ways to add rules. I prefer just to come in and duplicate a rule. So you can click on that. It's going to duplicate one. Then you can change the name. You can also use the add rule button here. It's going to give you some kind of templates. It's more for just introductory type of rules, but yeah, it's probably faster once you get the hang of it to just duplicate. I went over an example earlier of tagging and duplicating the entire rule set. That's what you're going to want to use if you really want to segment out your account. This one's right here is more just kind of a lazy account level optimization, but it's a good place to get started. All right, and then once you have the rules set how you want them, you come in here and save as a new profile and just say, whatever, my demo rules, save. And then we've got starter rules, which are our original ones. And then you've got the demo rules that I guess I didn't make any changes, but you get the idea. We're going to cover the campaign rules in another video. That's more for some of these placement rules and advanced operators down here. They are set up the exact same, so you could figure them out if you just kind of tried them out and hit run. But yeah, they are a bit more advanced. This collapse, once you have multiple groups, is handy because you can quickly kind of expand and simplify your layout. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So this here will expand if you've got a ton of rules. You can easily kind of view everything all in one layout. And then this settings here, there are some kind of minimum global settings there that you can adjust if you've got them in place. And then finally, there is a template you can download here if you've got a ton of rules or a big account that you want to import from a file. So just download that file. It'll have the column headers with examples, and you can do that in Excel and then upload it back with this here, and it'll basically populate your table for you. So that can be pretty handy. All right, so I hope this video gave some better explanation. Now there will be some additional columns we're going to be adding that are like rank based, impression share based, but all of them will fall in line with kind of the same logic that you can basically adjust the input parameters. There'll be a column in your bulk file that has that data in it, and it's kind of works the same. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. If you do get stuck or run into any questions, if you want some additional rules added, that's another thing we can do pretty easily. Just down here at the bottom, click on that chat widget, and we will do our best to help you out. Hope this helps you.